Hey guys, I recently moved to the Netherlands, migrated in Europe, Southeast Asia to Europe, and big culture shock, bunch of different shit, and now I'm having reverse culture shock. Indonesia this whole time, in hindsight, looking back, was both really shitty, but also really cool in some ways, and I'm gonna explain why. So I think the life like quality of life, the only thing that I had to complain about is just the options and varieties they have at supermarkets. It's a lot less than they do in international markets, like in in the UK and in the Netherlands right now. They have so many choices for so many things. They have a billion types of cheeses, which is honestly the biggest indicator of variety. Back in Indonesia, there was no variety. Even the biggest supermarkets, they only have mozzarella and cheddar, and those are the only two choices. Here, though, even the biggest supermarket, I mean, even the smallest, even the one down the street, they got uh, mascarpone, marzipan. I don't think that's cheese. Parmesan, shredded mozzarella, salad cheese, prosciutto, whatever. Okay, feta. It's all here, and they have the same amount of variety for everything that they sell from all kinds of brands. It's pretty insane. And the reason why I think in Indonesia it doesn't matter, but for me it matters, is because everyone already relies on food that other people have cooked. Um, it's an easy thing to make. Food stalls, they are everywhere. Tukang bakso, which is like a food stall guy with a cart on wheels, is an actual occupation. And people there are poor and willing to make easy things to make it accessible for the normal person who's also poor and is on the street. But over here, the economy is different. No one is that poor. There's a couple of homeless people, but no one is that poor. And that's why there's a lot more varieties in supermarkets, because you're expected to kind of make it yourself. The food, the labor, especially to pay for labor, is actually expensive because people here actually have value. Back in Indonesia, people didn't. But over here, they want to get paid, and they want to get paid a lot. So that's why food is a lot more expensive if it's prepared already in restaurants. But if you make it yourself, it's actually pretty cheap. A lot cheaper. Tons cheaper. If you buy everything in bulk, put it all together and cook it, it's going to be a tenth or even less of the price for each piece of food. That's what I've realized. But you know what? I've really just been dying from all of these extravagant prices for everything, even food, which should be a human basic necessity, because I was so used to ready made food back in Indonesia, whether it be my parents cooking for me or even the cheap ass stuff that I cooked myself, or more importantly, Gojek, which I'll explain it a bit later. But I more specifically just want to talk about the attitudes and behavior of everyone in Indonesia. Everyone's very nice and very informal. I think it's been rated the nicest country in the world multiple times, and it's really because of this accepting, fun culture, diversity in one. That's the whole shtick. And that's, I guess, kind of why everyone's so informal to each other, even in the workplace, I feel. You can have fun conversations with lecturers and janitors. There's no hierarchy, I suppose. Um, but I feel like that kind of incentivizes corruption in a way, because has simple everyone has good relationships with each other, and they hope they can bribe to get what they want, because everyone's desires are a lot more stronger and they think it is possible to do that through other people compared to the Netherlands over here. The rules are a lot more strict. If a guy sees you doing a thing that they don't like, or if you actually did break one of the rules, they're gonna make sure you know that you've disrespected them. And that happened to me when I was in the mosque or when I in the bike parking lot. I broke some rules that I wasn't meant to. They're obviously minor and it's just kind of inconvenient, but whatever. A friend basically told to me directly, if a Dutch person doesn't like you, they're just gonna be direct and say they won't like you. So yeah, that's cool. Over here, I feel like the system is a lot more rigid and real and like clockwork, and everyone follows and respects the rules and authority. But over in Indonesia, they try to make one exist, and it does somewhat exist, but you can usually get by just talking to people, and people are a lot more forgiving as well. There's no such. I feel like the difference is dignity and respect. Like, that's a big difference between them. Over here, it's less dignity and respect, but it's more friendly and informal, and that's how relationships are made. In fact, I remember I was a student exchange buddy. I helped someone from Denmark get used to the living here, and he complained that the organizational systems were terrible. Like, everyone was super late for every event as well, and I used to be such a punctual guy, but I loosened up. And yeah, he's absolutely correct. Everything in Indonesia sucks. And that when I came into university, that's when I realized that people were actually in charge of organizations, and everything is based off of actions that they did. And the actions that they did were just not enough to satisfy the promises that they made sometimes, or follow their own rules. Even everything's a lot more loose and undefined, which I feel is very different to over here, where your professionalism is actually expected out of you, and you will be kicked out if you do something wrong. Anywho, besides that, um, everything over here is hard to get and is very expensive. This kind of goes into the supermarket thing, but over there, everything is easy to get and super cheap. Online stores, Tokopedia is everywhere, Gojek is everywhere, and I feel like a system like Gojek will only exist in Indonesia because of cheap labor again. And let me tell you, thank gods for that, because I wouldn't have survived my college life if it wasn't for Gojek to deliver food for me, because I hated going outside. Um, so the food came to me instead. And I basically just had every single restaurant's food in the vicinity of like a 3 kilometer circle, very easy to get, all on my phone, all on my fingertips. It all just came to me, and I was just abusing the Gojek system for so long. In the Netherlands, I wanted to experiment with food delivery, and it was super expensive. It was like 20 euros for the cheapest shit. Like, practically an entire meal back in Indonesia is just the cost of one soda drink can over here. It's fucked up. Literally, like 50,000 rupiah will get you through the whole day. Two big ass meals with drinks, um, delivered straight to you. But over here, 50,000, that's like 2 euros, three maybe. That's one small sandwich. Uh, that's like vending machine snack level prices, basically. So yeah, I have to make everything by myself. And not only that, Tokopedia doesn't exist. I mean, Amazon exists, but first of all, the prices are not going to be that good, and second, it's delivering and ordering things is not as common, I feel. But I'm not really too sure if people do that often. I think it's because they already know that there's a lot of stores around them in their vicinity for whatever they want. There's even like a manga store for specific nerdy stuff that exists. So I can go there technically, but I won't get exactly what I want. Turns out the quality of life over here in the Europe and in the Netherlands, even though they have more variety in supermarkets and daily life, they don't actually have the super obscure stuff that I bloody want that I can only get on Tokopedia. Like, where am I gonna get an MP3 player or an anime figurine? Ugh. Okay, so yeah, the main kind of difference between Indonesia and the Netherlands. First of all, prices. Second of all, the attitudes people have toward each other. I remember in the first meeting that I had with my lecturer, I just wanted to ask questions, and I was incredibly nervous and anxious, and he tried to calm me down basically. And one thing that he showed was the cultural differences that people have between each other, and he showed a research. It was pretty fun, like a research paper comparing different countries based on certain characteristics. And if I ever find it again, I'm going to link it in the description. And there's a lot of differences, and the main thing that I wanted to mention is just that Dutch people are way more individualistic than Indonesian people, and it really shows. People expect things out of other people to be leaders and pull their own weight, but in Indonesia, it's kind of forgiven. You can rely on other people a lot. You can expect favors from others, basically. And that's kind of a problem, more so than a solution. And I'm going to bring up like group assignments and tests. Um, Over there, basically only one person has to do the assignment, and everyone kind of expects everyone else to have finished the assignment and just kind of copy answers from them. And that basically means that only one person did the assignment and he spread it around everywhere. And if he's nice, he will. And that's kind of the situation that happened in Indonesia. I tried making it myself, obviously, every time there was an assignment or a test because I couldn't rely on other people. I was very lonely, lamau. But I still needed help because I'm stupid. So, I don't know, even then, like, test scores were super low usually. We didn't really care about actually understanding or having a passionate reaction or caring about the subject matter because we don't care about it. But over here, you're actually expected to know the stuff and do live coding. Like, if we did a live coding session, like I was one of the assistant lecturers that had to test students for live coding, and they sucked. They all sucked. They were all stupid, and now I'm forced to do that over here with actual real lecturers. And I'm learning a lot, much more in the first few weeks of being here than I was in the months that I was, the years that I was in ITS, basically. Because I'm actually forced to take business and IT seriously if I want to pass, instead of the super easy ass education in Indonesia, or maybe my university specifically, I don't know. But it was so corrupt, and the teachers or the lecturers were, I don't know, maybe so nice that I basically passed all my classes with decent grades. And I was like a nobody. I was a loser. I didn't do anything special. I just did assignments and made sure I was absent. I mean, I came into class when I was supposed to, and that's literally the only two things I did. And like, damn, I'm really thinking the education system back in Indonesia is so broken. I have no idea how internships work over there, or how they're supposed to do, like, what students are expected of them to do in actual work, other than, I don't know, all the employers being nice. I have no idea, because I don't think I learned too much or was able to put in any actual able skills. I remember my father asking me if I had any skills at all with SQL or whatever, and I really didn't. I just lied. So yeah, that's cool. But now I would say I am actually interested in learning SQL to appease my lecturers over here. And I'm taking the steps to do that, so that's cool. So yeah, I don't know, education system in the Netherlands way better. The connections between people are also closer, I suppose, but kind of in a more professional sense. I don't know how to describe it. Everyone respects everyone else's individuality, so that's cool. Um, but the downsides are everything's expensive as hell. Fuck that. Okay, that's kind of it. Indonesia sucks in some ways. I think functionally it's a broken country in a lot of aspects, but living there is pretty cool. Um, so yeah, that's the reverse culture shock that I had. Consume everything? Question mark. Thanks for listening and goodbye.